you ever wondered why your songs they just still sound like demos? I asked hundreds of producers to send me their songs for a roast, and I kept hearing the same mistakes over and over again. So today I'm going to show you 3 real songs from producers and then how we can level them up. I'm going to show you exactly what they can be doing better, and then I'll actually reproduce them from my own perspective. By the way, if you want me to review your song next time for free, visit the link in the description, and I promise to be nice. Okay, so the first song we have here is called Old Legends Die Young, A Sailor's Tale by Corbin, Otts. Now I'm going to go through this song. I'm going to play a little snippet of the song so you get context of where we're coming from, and then I'm going to show you the produced version of my song after we talk about some areas of improvement here. All right, let's go.
Crystal waves split by a slicing prow, burning rays light on my glistening brow, seen by no eye, breeze blowing through my hair, a tattered map leading to who knows where. Well, they say that I'm crazy, but they don't understand. 'Cause if I don't find what I'm looking for, I'll never return to my homeland. Well, it's land ho.
Very cool. Okay, I'm excited to dive into this one, and a bit of pre-context before I get into the feedback of all these 3 songs, just so you have an idea of where I'm coming from. When I'm listening to these songs, I'm not trying to pick out bad things or to really slam on any of it. I'm just trying to think as a producer, if I was to produce the song, where I would come from. So I'm listening to this demo from these artists, and I'm trying to pick out, okay, what parts make me feel something and what parts could be, how can we tell this story better from my perspective? Okay, so let's get into it now. First, I want to talk about key and tempo. Key of the song, I think, could be explored to have Corbin sing in a different key. That would be my first experiment if I was producing him, to sing in a higher key so he could hit a higher note in the register or a higher register in the chorus at this part here.
They don't understand.
I like that part, but I'm trying to find some contrasting elements so it makes it sound a bit different than the verse. Maybe it won't work out, but that's something I would like to explore if I was producing the song. The second thing would be tempo. In general, it feels slow to me. Not super slow, but I think could be maybe 5 BPM, let's say, faster. Sometimes when you're looking at tempo, and if you feel that your song is too slow, it might not always be the tempo of the song that's feeling slow, but actually the cadence or rhythm of your vocal melody. So the vocal melody in the verse is da 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 da, and that repeats. That's slow. So is the song slow because of that vocal melody? Like if we had a vocal melody like da 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 da, as an example, that would feel faster, right? Within this tempo. So if you're feeling that your song is too slow, it isn't always necessarily the tempo itself, but also the rhythm of the vocal melody or other instruments as well. So this also can be done with doubles and harmonies, extra layers of vocals to make that contrasting element, which I've done in my produced version. So we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about song structure now. Song structure, I think, is good and in general fairly straightforward, fairly poppy. My personal taste would be to have a smaller intro and a more exciting intro just to rev us up a bit more to the verse. And I'll get to that in my produced version. The other thing is just this ending part I think is cool. I think it's fairly experimental. There's an ending bit here which sounds very nice. Just give you a snippet here.
What's the use for a fountain of youth? I drank it dry.
I think that's very pretty and nice. It's not something I would do. I would maybe explore having that as the bridge and then building it back up again, or having this part come in at a different part of the song. It feels though that the part before it is the ending, this part here, to me. And it goes somewhere else. So that's an artistic thing that I'm not going to get too deep into, but worth just saying it out loud. Let's dive a little bit on sound selection now, and just the choice of sounds and how we can level up the sounds, the textures, and the space behind the sounds. I'm not here to start from scratch on anything. I want to pick the parts that the artist Corbin has chosen and take that idea and try to develop a bit more. So the main groove or progression sound I'm getting at are these two tracks that Corbin's created, and have a listen to what those sound like. That's the main vibe, right? So to me, that sounds good, but I think it could be leveled up with different synths and also layered of synths doing something similar to bring out more dimension behind it. So I focused on those two things, and then I built the groove a little bit. I would say I told a little bit more of a story with the groove, and I'm going to get into that in just a little bit as well. The second thing is warmth to the sounds. In general, I found the sounds to be quite stock and stale, and I was missing warmth that's coming from the low end of instruments. So I'm missing a bass sound, I'm missing a pad sound, a keys sound that just helped support the weight of the song. So I definitely added that into this new song. And you can kind of, with these guitars that Corbin's added here and taken away a lot of the low end, and I understand that that's good to do when you're mixing to create space for a bass or a kick drum. But when you don't have those elements in like a verse section, you need to consider, okay, well, if I'm going to have a song like this that does have a fair amount of instrumentation, how am I going to find the warmth in the song? And I think that's an important thing to question. You don't always need a bass, but I think it's good to have in there, whether it's bass from the keys or bass from the synths or bass from the guitars, bass from the vocal, something that is there to create that warmth. Lastly, let's dive into the arrangement of this song. And this is going to be the biggest section for each of the songs that I'm going to go through, because it's one thing that as a producer, you focus on a lot of how you will arrange the song instrumentally with rhythm and harmony. And it's basically your job as a producer. So when I first listened to this song, the payoff for me is the chorus section. When you have the contrasting part here of when it's very spacious, this part here. Let's bring that down, this part here. They say that I'm crazy, but they don't understand. When I heard that part, it felt like the payoff could be bigger. So that means we need to build more tension up until this point so that it's a bigger payoff and a bigger space, a bigger like hooray at that point. So with that, using kind of the ingredients that I've had within this song and building up a bit of my own, I was able to tell more of a story by not giving everything away at the beginning. When you're arranging a song and you have your instruments in a song, if you give everything away at the beginning, like we have here, we have vocals, BVs, guitars, synths, drums, more rhythm instruments here. We have everything kind of happening. So that doesn't give us a lot of flexibility. We can cut things out to create contrast, but it doesn't give us any flexibility to add more in. Whereas if we can start maybe big in the intro, slim it down in the verses, then pay it off in the chorus with a different space, creating this tension and release, peaks and valleys, contrasting elements is the thing you want to do as a producer. So I wanted to tell more of a story coming in through the verse so that the payoff and creating tension and build up with rhythm so that there's a payoff in the chorus here. Next, I'm going to play my song now that I've produced, going through the improvements that I just mentioned. Okay, let's go.
Crystal waves split by a slicing prow, burning rays light on my glistening brow, seen by no eye, breeze blowing through my hair, a tattered map leading to who knows where. Well, they say that I'm crazy, but they don't understand. 'Cause if I don't find what I'm looking for, I'll never return to my homeland. Well, it's land ho, boots finally touch.
Okay, so here we go. My take on the song with the payoff happening at the chorus. Now, because I don't have Corbin in the room and I am not the singer, to bring out that other register and that contrast in the chorus, I've added a lot of a big stack of harmonies of my own voice, so it does conflict a little bit because it's a new texture. So Corbin could add it with this voice, or using AI tools to recreate a different voice. But slimming it down with just vocals and rooting it with a new piano sound and bass sound. So just these two kind of rooted instruments. Before, there was 16th note hi-hats in the original demo, and I just felt like if we're gonna have a big payoff and a big moment here, let's slow it down and just have these whole notes carrying it, and then the stack of vocals, which is just massive here.
They say that I'm crazy, but they don't understand. 'Cause if I don't find what I'm looking for, they say that I'm crazy, they don't understand. 'Cause if I don't find what I'm looking for.
Besides that, the tension coming into the chorus really happens with the groove. Really, it's these two not big, but these two elements here with a Moog bass that's slowly being filtered to create suspense. So if I just play these three tracks, you'll see quite an amount of tension that's being built to get that payoff in the chorus. That's where the tension is being built, and I've stripped a lot of everything out. I've stripped the guitars, I've stripped a lot of the groove in the verse to tell the story of the singer, to keep the focus on the singer, and to have supporting elements. I've added a piano and a pad to create a sense of stability here, and I've had the main synth groove where we talked about a little bit earlier in the improvements. I've just layered this synth with a few different sounds, and I've also created different ranges of these sounds to target different frequency areas. So, for example, I put the dark lo-fi piano that Corbin had. I just put it up an octave, so it was in a different range that wasn't fighting with the vocal. So with those stack of synths, we have. It's exactly like what was kind of in the demo. It's just bigger, and it has more texture, and it has more dimension. For the intro, I took a couple of the vocal parts and just made a bit of a vocal chop element. I'm not sure if that's the direction of the song that Corbin maybe wanted to go in, having these choppy vocals. And that's being automated to filter out so it sounds like something is happening, which drops us right into the verse. So thanks, Corbin. Thank you very much for submitting your song. Let's get on to the next song now, which is by Gabe. It's called Delilah.
Looking into your face, watching you singing for another girl, praying for this day. 7 years ago, it's unusual. It'll all be okay. Some things never change. It will all be okay. And now I'm okay. I'm dancing on a miracle, trying to look natural. Delilah feels invisible. Better off this way. You think you're loving the girl you met.
Okay, thank you so much, Gabe, again for submitting. I'm going to go through a few things now. It's following the similar structure that I did with Corbin's song, and then I'm going to show you how I reproduced this song with my own, coming from my own perspective. Okay, so first, key tempo. I'm big on key and tempo because it decides how your vocal melody is going to fall in place. So key, I think the key is fine. I think that Gabe as a singer is not finding maybe the true confidence in some parts of the vocal, which is making me as the listener maybe not be totally convinced. Now, with that said, there is this sense of naivety and sweetness to the vocal because it matches the song of singing about this girl named Delilah. In that way, it's sweet. So I want to kind of lay that feedback out to you for you to consider, but also say sometimes these things just work as well. There's been hit songs with vocals that might not seem confident, but there's this sweetness and naivety to it that just work. And I think you're kind of in that area. Tempo feels fine. It is a slower ballad, so we're not going to rush it and make this a pop song. But it feels fine. The vocal choice of vocal melodies, I think, are good. I think could be a little tighter. I'm picky about vocal melodies, so I would have a stab at some different ones, but I'm not here to slam on any artist's style of vocal melody. But I think areas of improvement that you can look at are parts like this are difficult to get across sometimes when in your pre-chorus here, when you say, way, when you have those trills like that, I find them very difficult to get across confidently in any singer. So this part was what I'm referring to.
I'll be okay. Some things never change. It will all be okay.
So for that part, I think you could either maybe just do it once, because it's a melody it's not exciting. So you could consider changing the shape of the melody, singing it once so it's not as exhaustive to us, or exhausting, or coming up with a completely different melody. So for example, this is purely for example purposes. I'm going to get into later some different top line melodies that you can get into as I will show you the produced version of my take on it. Song structure, I think you've done a really, really great job at structure. It feels good. Maybe the pre-chorus is a bit too long. Intro is a bit too long for me, although you're telling a nice story of softness and sweetness. Because the whole song is soft and sweet, maybe you can get into it a little bit quicker by maybe chopping it off of 4 bars. But the structure going in verse 2, pre-chorus, bridge, build up, and third chorus great structure. Really like what you've done here in terms of building up the tension and instrumentation as in these sections. Really nice job. Sound selection in general, I think a big this song really needs a mix, a proper mix. But what you've done recording your own guitars here, that they're sounding like nice recorded guitars. You're a good guitar player. You know what you're doing. The timing of things, being a good guitar player and playing live and playing for your friends and all that is a different type of guitar playing than recording to click and being locked in. So I will be picky on the timing of your strumming and in different parts here. Partly, I think, because your song doesn't have a beat. So maybe when you recorded these guitars, you weren't locked into the tempo because you were locked in maybe to your voice or other aspect of the song. So that's an important thing. Really lock into the metronome when you're recording, or beat if you have a beat, but you didn't have one in this song, which is something I've added tastefully that I'll get into in a little bit. But it's just these guitars here that I just want to point out. There, and I believe there's even a delay on some of those that you may have put, but they are not locked in, and they need to be locked in to make it sound really good. The other thing with regards to your software instruments that you chose here, you have pianos. I did update the piano to a stronger, a more richer sounding piano, and I've also played with your velocity a bit. I noticed you did play the keyboard, but some of the notes, those velocities were really pumping, or not piercing through, and I've smoothed out the velocity a little bit more. And I've found some more space with your piano by just adding quite a lot of 2 aux tracks here that have more reverb, delay, and effects that bring out a bit more dimension to your track. So it's not as small. We still have that intimacy with the guitar and vocals, but the piano, I wanted it to be a bit wider and bigger. And you'll see that I've done that. So arrangement-wise, I think you've done a really great job. There's a lot of tension and release and a lot of contrasting parts here in your song. I think you've kind of really nailed that part. So nice job. Really nice job there. I will get into one element that I think could be a helpful addition, is just to have just some rhythm. You've added a cajon here, which gives us a bit of rhythm, but I'm missing kind of a kick drum or something. And I'm missing that because at the end here, we have a lot of instrumentation. We're adding strings, pianos, lots of vocals. Great job, by the way, adding tons of vocals and stacks here. I will make a note on that in a little bit of how to improve those. I'll show you some of my own that I've added here. But I'm missing that kick drum to give us a sense of pocket and structure. So I've added one here, and I think you could maybe consider adding it. I don't think this song calls for like a drum beat, but just a bit of a kick drum to keep us locked in. So with all that said, let's have a listen to the demo I've done. You'll notice it's not that different, but it's just a couple subtle things I've added here. So let's go.
Looking into your face, watching you singing for another girl. Been praying for this day 7 years ago. It's unusual. It'll all be okay. Some things never change. It will all be okay. No, I'm okay. I'm dancing on a miracle, trying to look natural. Delilah feels invisible. better off this way. You think you're loving the girl you met.
Okay, cool. So it's just this kick drum here that I'm talking about. I've added a couple snaps too. And this bass. They're doing a lot in solo, but within the track, they're just adding movement, right? I think songs that that are slow need to find clever ways to find movement. So it just drives the song a lot more. You'll notice the intro was shorter. I cut that off by 4 bars, and I didn't mind that. The vocal melody here I've made tighter in terms of the there's a backing vocal on this part.
Okay.
So tightening up the backing vocal. If you're going to have backing vocals, make sure they are locked in with the lead to make it sound good. And example purposes, this would be 2 different examples of different top lines that you could have over this part, while not changing it so much. Here's one.
It will all be okay. Oh, out of this change. It will all be okay. Oh, there's something to say.
So placeholder lyrics there, but if you want to get busier, you could do something like this.
It will all be okay when I take the blame. Nothing's the same, I'll all be okay. It starts to change, life in a way.
Now you're adding more lyric in there, more story, but because of the rhythm of that melody, it does seem like the part moves faster. So you see how much your choice of vocal melody will affect the entire song. And going back to original.
Some things never change. It will be okay.
Harmonies, you've done such a good job at adding a stack of vocals here in the later part of the song, all these parts here.
Sing on a miracle, trying to look natural.
With these oohs over here, these are cool.
Sing on a miracle.
Now, I think all you need there is just a proper mix and better use of space for your vocals and to create more peaks and valleys within your vocals. So just how, like I talked with Corbin's song about like peaks and valleys throughout the song, you want to think of peaks and valleys within each instrument in itself or stacks of instruments. So like these harmonies here that I've added, which you can recreate, there's peaks and valleys within the harmonies. So like, let's have a listen. And then 2 more come in. And then 4 more. 2 less come out. So these peaks and valleys of harmonies over the lead are sounding interesting to me.
Hey, I'm dancing on a miracle, trying to look natural.
And I've added an Atmos track down here just to give it a bit more space.
Hey, I'm dancing on a miracle, trying.
Not necessarily maybe needed, but me as the producer, I'm thinking could use a sense of space there where I thought would sound cool. Now it does take it outside of that dimension of just being maybe the singer-songwriter on the stool. So you do have to consider that when you're first producing a song. The story for me here is this is kind of like your Ed Sheeran singer-songwriter track. You're the guy on the guitar. And I thought it would stay in this realm of being very subtle, but you've really built it up to being an epic sounding track over here with the build-up, where I think it's so different that you might be able to push a little bit some of these elements in the first chorus to not make it like so much peaks and valleys. But again, that is a subjective thing. Thanks for submitting your song, though, Gabe. Really appreciate that. Let's get on to the next song, which comes from Michael. Here we go.
Golden evening, glass of wine in my lover's eyes. Talk to me, he said, underneath I feel that our hearts want more. Trust me, he says, turn the cheek and give another try. Grab a bit of rope, see how far it will go, or accept your fate and die. But all these dreams, they race to my head, thinking about us lately. And all those things we said.
Wicked track. Art is subjective, and definitely Michael is hitting me right here in the gut of a genre that I really like. I'm getting a lot of Fleet Foxes, Lord Huron energy from this song. So it's hitting me in the gut. Now let's go. Where are there, if there are any areas of improvement, and then let's take a listen to my mix here. So I would say key tempo, key fit sounds great. Doesn't sound like the singer Michael is pushing it too hard in areas. There's a lift in the chorus, which sounds nice. There's contrasting there in the vocal, and tempo feels good. I wouldn't say it would need to be slower or faster. There's a great groove behind that that's really carrying the track. Vocal performance and melody, both I think are stellar. I wouldn't change much there, but I will touch on one thing that I want to mention in just a moment. The song structure. Now, this song is a journey. It's not one that I would say is a Billboard hit, but it's a journey because it really builds. It tells a story. There's great elements that come in as the story moves by. Would I write a song like this? Probably not. So I'm going to say that it's not wrong. It's a great story and journey, but I might make a suggestion on bringing some things more up front, maybe playing with a tighter intro just to see what that would sound like, I think. And maybe you've already done that, but the chorus, and I wanted to play that song all the way to this part so we could hear it, the vocal melody change. But we're at let's see, the song starts at about 8 seconds in, so we're almost at a minute 40 before we hit your chorus melody, kind of the payoff of the song. And I think you could experiment with taking this section and putting it right after your verse 1. I would like to see how that would sound like, because it's an interesting structure, right? You have a verse, you have a kind of a long instrumental intro, a verse, then another instrumental, a verse, instrumental, chorus. It's a cool song. It's not one that I would write, but I would experiment with maybe finding a balance between getting to the payoff a bit faster. Sound selection, really, really nice job in terms of your sounds. The drums and bass especially sound really, really cool. I'll get into just some elements I did to try to beef them up a bit, but like in general, the synths, I don't know if this was a Juno, but it sounds really great. Strings, obviously you're a talented player at these instruments, and your timing is great, and it feels very, very in pocket, the whole groove, so I wouldn't change any of that. Arrangement of the instruments, I think, are great. All the instruments are coming in at a way that I can consume the information. You're bringing the strings in later, the piano halfway through, the drums and bass come at the same time, which is cool. Juno first, then electric. Everything is kind of stepped nicely. Acoustics at the end, vocal candy at the end. Yeah, arrangement is very, very cool. One thing that I just thought, listening to your song and playing with the vocal here, you have a nice reverb track that I've mixed in. That you're a really great singer, and you've added some of these really, really nice vocal parts here that I've just accentuated a little bit. And then I thought that you could, because you're such a good singer, that you could add some ooze to make it even more about the vocal and the singer, which I'll play in a second. But I think you could do that and have another element that will bring the song out even more. I'm just going to play a little bit of my demo here because it's really not that different than what Michael has done. I've just played with a bit of the mix actually in the plugins, trying to bring a bit more of the Michael's vocal out a little bit. And I think in general, just adding a little more dirt to the track, because I felt like it was a quite clean mix, but I think could be a bit more dirty. I mean, not too dirty, but yeah, a little bit.
Golden evening, glass of wine in my lover's eyes. Talk to me, he says. Underneath, I feel that our hearts want more. Trust me, he says, turn a cheek and give another try. Grab a bit of rope, see how far it will go, or accept your fate and die.
This is where I think the chorus could come in. Now, yeah. So yeah, that's where I think the chorus could come in. But hearing it back now, it's just like it kind of sounds good. What they've done. So it's really this is the thing about production, and like it's art, right? So you kind of have to just follow your heart. Now, the only thing I've really added where I think Michael could experiment with is adding more texture in the vocals. So yeah, just a stack of ooze. And then I thought this, like, honestly, my favorite part, I think, is these sections where if you find parts like this in your own song, you really kind of bring them out. Funny enough, it's this part. I love that scream you've done, and I think I just brought that out a bit more. And then I've duplicated another one of those and just added some delay to it. I think those textures you've added in the song here that overlays with your electric guitar and the acoustics really build up to a different energy that I think you can accentuate this stuff more in your mix.
But all these dreams, they race to my head, thinking about us lately.
think it sounds really catchy and poppy, very much like Foster the People in a way when you're doing stuff like that. I like that a lot. Or if you want to know the exact system to go from beginner to intermediate and Logic Pro, watch this video right here. It took me years to kind of bridge that gap from beginner to intermediate, but hopefully watching this video, you can split that time in half.